We're off. All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Quick Sticks. We are back this week with a very special guest, one of the newest members of the Atlas, Mr. Max Wayne. Max, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. We appreciate you coming on. So I'm not sure if you've watched before, but before we get started, we do have a bit of a tradition with guests.
Hit them with it.
So we're going to put 8 seconds on the clock, and we want to hear your top 3 side dishes at a steakhouse.
Go.
Yeah, I'm going to go with mashed potatoes, broccoli, and green beans.
Fire.
Keeping it healthy.
Healthy guy. I was going to say healthy guy. Damn,
Yeah, I like my greens. I like getting my veggies in. You got to get them in.
I respect that. I
love that.
So, Max, we do want to thank you again for taking some time. You were a very big deal once you were drafted. I think maybe behind Chris Gray and Logan Wisniewski, you were the most talked about player. We do want to thank you for taking some time. For those listeners who might not know too much about you, give us some background, where you're from, how you got in lacrosse, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm from Loudoun County, Virginia, about like 45 minutes outside DC. I started playing when I was in like 3rd grade. So like my family doctor kind of was like involved with the rec leagues in my area. And he suggested it to my dad, and I started playing, and I think I just really liked it because it was a little different. So, starting 3rd grade, loved it my whole life. I probably really got serious with it about probably like my sophomore year of high school. Like I always played, but I wasn't doing too much, outside of practice. And then kind of like my sophomore year of high school, I kind of decided, I wanted to play in college, and it all kind of just went from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's actually a great segue to my question. So tell us about playing D3. You seem like a modest guy, so I'm going to mention that you won National Player of the Year, 51 ground balls, 55 caused turnovers. People who don't watch lacrosse, those are crazy stats. Those are very, very impressive stats. So tell us about playing D3 and your time at CNU.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great experience at CNU. I definitely don't regret it at all. So I'll kind of start from the beginning. So when I decided I want to play in college, I was kind of off the bat, like I decided I want to go D3 because the recruiting landscape at that time, when guys my age are getting recruited, they're committing D1, like 8th grade freshman, sophomore. So I kind of missed that window. I kind of really went into looking D3, CNU. I had a bunch of coaches for travel that went to CNU, and they loved it. I visited there. I loved it. It was like my number one, probably my entire recruiting process. I didn't get like that many looks at other places. And I think when I was starting to get really good looks, Coach Thompson kind of sprung on me. He said like, there's only one spot for another defender. So now I decided to commit there, and, Coach Thompson's obviously the man. He's a great coach, and he's great at recruiting. That whole class that we had was, pretty insane ever since, we were freshmen. We had a bunch of guys playing since we were freshmen.
Yeah.
And I also think CNU, like playing there, like the D3 experience there probably is a little different than like a lot of other D3 schools. Cause I mean, their facilities are all super nice. Like their weight room is comparable to like a D1 weight room. We always got tons of gear. We got the full practice uniform, lifting uniform, all our pads. Wow. And I think, a lot of other D3 schools don't get as much gear and like aren't as fortunate at that. But, like on Twitter, you see guys or you see people like talking about like the life of a D3 athlete, kind of, mocking like eating PB&Js, which, there is some truth to that. We did that too. But, I think CNU, the athletic department, does a great job of like really giving all the athletes, a great student athlete experience.
Wow. That's awesome. That's great. I played D2 and we didn't get any of that. So you guys definitely had a different experience. So the next question is, I'm super curious, but tell us a little bit about the Salisbury game. And I want to know, if the Salisbury game wasn't your favorite game of your career, CNU, tell us about your favorite game.
So the Salisbury win last season.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. So, that was probably my favorite win. That game was like sick.
Crazy.
That was definitely the most packed, like the stadium ever was. Like all the stands were filled. There were people like on the sidelines, or not on the sidelines, like outside the fence. And, that was by far like the most hype game we've ever had.
Yeah.
And the fact that we beat a team like Salisbury by by 10. Like that was pretty insane. And also, you know, my 5 years there, that was the only time we beat them. So like I was finally glad that we got to take it to them at least once, because they handed me a lot of L's, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, that game was unreal. It was just like great atmosphere, like great energy. The whole team played really well.
Wow.
But I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys don't know, but they came back and they beat us in the conference championship, which sucks, but you know, it happens sometimes.
It does. It happens. For anybody who doesn't know, Salisbury is a very dominant D3 team and have been for a very long time. A lot of guys who went D1 initially and maybe, you know, failed out or did something stupid, they sometimes those guys fall to Salisbury. So it's a really big deal you guys beat them. So big congrats on that. Matt, go ahead.
So let's jump to the night of the draft. Again, huge deal to see you get drafted, which was awesome. We all saw the video of you and your roommates congratulating you, but what kind of was your mindset going into that draft leading up to the moment where you heard your name called? I mean, were you kind of going with the positive mindset or was what were you thinking that day?
I mean, to be honest, you know, I had no idea if I was going to get drafted or not. I honestly didn't think I was, given that, you know, in all the other PLL drafts, no D3 guys got drafted, which actually, like, back when the PLL and the MLO merged, you know, if I'm being honest, I was a little blown about it, because I think, like, yeah, it's way better for the sport, but I thought, like, you know, I was pretty much a lock to make the MLL at least. But last summer, I kind of decided – I actually went to the PLL games in Atlanta, and I kind of decided, I was like, you know, and I made the decision. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do everything I can to try to make the PLL. You know, if it doesn't work out, you know, like, it's not for nothing, because, you know, trying to do everything I could to make the PLL also meant like having the best senior season or fifth year season I possibly could, you know, helping my team as much as I possibly could. So, you know, I figured why not try to make it. And and the more I thought about it, the more I was just locked in on it, because I figured if I didn't try to make it, you know, I might regret that the rest of my life, you know, as opposed to if I did everything I could and I made it and I didn't make it, I can at least say, well, you know, I tried, and I wouldn't regret that. Sure. So that was kind of the mindset I had starting last summer going into this season. And like, along with that, I had some goals I didn't reach. Like, I really, really wanted to win a national championship. You know, that was something I like thought was possible at CNU since my freshman year. And it sucks we fell out short. You know, for you guys might not know, but York took us out in the Elite Eight in an overtime heartbreaker. And they also have a defender that got signed with the Redwoods, which, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised he didn't get like player of the year, if I'm being honest, because I thought it was going to kind of come down to me and him, defensive player of the year, at least, because his stats were even crazier than mine. And I thought it would kind of come down to who won that game. And after they won, I thought that would mean he would get it. But I mean, he's a great player, Ryan Kennedy. So he's one of the guys that made the jump from D3 to the PLL. But yeah, anyways, so when I made that decision to try to play in the PLL, you know, I was clear about it with my coaches. You know, I told them in a meeting over summer, I was like, by the way, like, I have this goal. I'm going to try to make a roster. If you guys could do anything that could help me out, I'd really appreciate it. And our coach, Mikey Thompson's pretty plugged in the lacrosse community. You know, he's got friends everywhere. He played at UVA. He was a stud at UVA and coached there for a year. And they won the national championship that year. So he was kind of doing all the marketing for me. Like, he was reaching out, getting in touch with coaches, and he kind of didn't really keep me in the loop. I think he just didn't want me worrying about it. He just wanted me, you know, focus on the season. So, you know, I was kind of going into that draft completely blind. Like, he mentioned, like, some coaches had questions about my job, what I was working. And he kind of had some like questions like that, but he didn't really say too much about my odds of like getting drafted. He did mention that Andy Towers, like the Chaos, they needed some polls. So he said, there's a chance, you know, I get picked with their last draft pick or maybe signed up for training camp. So going into the draft, I thought, you know, if I am going to make a roster, it's probably going to be getting an invite to training camp. So going in, I really had no idea that I was going to get drafted. I honestly didn't think I was going to get drafted. honestly wasn't going to pay attention that much until the last round. So like getting picked in the third round was like even more of a shock to me. And especially to the Atlas. So the Atlas were the team. I mean, they were probably the team I wanted to play for the most because I know Michael Rexroad. I used to train with him back in the day. He's from the same area, and he like kind of coached me a little bit. And I mean, he's an absolute beast. So, like going to a team where I already knew a defender, like that was a huge relief for me. And, you know, he was awesome at training camp, and obviously he's a beast. He was all pro last year. So, yeah, I mean, going in the draft, like I said, I really had no idea.
So, and did you, because talking with Coach Brooks last week, I mean, we didn't realize how like rapid fire the draft, you know, how quickly it moves. I mean, did you get any sort of heads up, or did you literally just hear your name called?
Literally nothing. Like I literally heard my name and I was like,
That's
no way.
awesome.
Like,
you were like,
no,
holy shit.
yeah, like no call, no text, no nothing before.
Nothing.
Like once I got picked up, then like I got some texts and stuff from like the coaches and the captains.
That's crazy.
Which was like, again, I mean, just even getting texts from guys like Tucker Dirk and Trevor Baptiste and Eric Law, like that was, you know, pretty crazy. You know, I never really thought I'd be playing alongside, you know, guys like that. But yeah, like literally nothing before. Like name got called was when I found out I got drafted.
That's wild.
Nuts.
So cool.
That is really cool. So
Yeah.
that's actually a great segue into my question. You talked about Tucker Dirk and texting you. So I'm obviously a big lacrosse fan. We all are. What is it like playing next to guys that we've watched on TV for years? Like, and now you know you're the two slide to Tucker Durkin. Like, what's that like for training camp at least?
Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy to think about, but you know, like when you're playing lacrosse, you're just playing lacrosse. You know, you're not really thinking about too much, you know, who you're with, or I mean, you're thinking like tendencies and, you know, scouting stuff, but you don't really think about like, you know, who they are as a person. So, I mean, you know, I didn't know what to expect going into it, but, I mean, just like thinking about it, like it's, I mean, it's crazy that I'm like playing along those guys now. And, you know, I didn't know how training camp was going to go. Luckily it went really well. You know, the transition wasn't as big a jump as I expected it to be honest. I mean, part of that is just, you know, like CNU, like we're a great team.
Wow.
And we also like, we kind of run, we made the move from kind of a scripted offense to a more free flowing offense this year. And like covering an offense like that is like much more similar to what guys are running in the PLL anyway. So it wasn't like, I didn't go in and I wasn't like it wasn't like an absolute shock when I hopped in.
Yeah. Wow, it's crazy that little change of you guys adjusting like in practice probably helped out your PLL career like for perpetuity. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell us about your interaction so far with Coach Brooks. For anybody who hasn't listened, we had him on a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now. He was one of the most fun guys I've ever talked to about lacrosse. He's super animated.
Big Max Wayne fan.
Huge Max Wayne fan. And he's a hell of a motivational speaker. I mean, when he was like talking, I mean, I told the guys, like, I literally went out and bought a rebounder because I just wanted to, you know, get a stick in my head again. So what is your interactions been with Coach Brooks so far? You know, what do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, he's the man. Like, he's always great energy. He's always super positive. He's just one of those guys. It's always great to be around. And, you know, like our whole coaching staff is like that, you know, like they're all about, you know, like having fun while you play. And, like they're all really great coaches. And they're all like, Coach Brooks is also like the nicest guy ever. Like he offered, you know, there's some stuff going on with my flight. You know, he's from the same area. You know, he like offered to drive me up to training camp if I needed to get a ride. But you know, also while we're on the topic of the coaches, like they are savage. Like the fact that they traded away like Rob Pennell and Paul Rabel and like took that risk and got a bunch of draft picks and like it worked out. Like those guys are willing to do what needs to be done to get better. You know, like
100%.
I don't know if like any other coaching staff would have made the moves that they made, let
Especially
alone
this
make
early
it
in the league.
Yeah,
Especially this early.
we said last week or whenever the draft was, we were like, Rubior is officially the Bill Belichick of the PLL.
Yeah, he
makes risky moves, but this dude is somehow drafting guys like Chris Gray and also gaining picks in the process. It makes no sense.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. I just realized Ken Clausen's your other coach.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's nuts. That's crazy because I mean, we watched him years ago when he was like playing against Billy Bitter. That's crazy. Go ahead, Sam.
All right. So Max, you mentioned it a little bit in your answer earlier, but now that you're guarding guys like Teat, Gray, those caliber players, does your transition from college to PLL, what's that transition like guarding those guys?
Well, I mean, I think just going in and being surrounded by players that great, like it makes you play better. Which is almost a little counterintuitive, or it makes me play better at least. Like playing up to competition, I think is a very real thing.
Definitely.
And I just went in. I went in confident. I went in, believing in myself. I was also real. Like I thought the biggest adjustment would be not like covering a guy one-on-one, but it would be the speed at which everything happens on an offense like that. And I mean, our offense is just full of elite passers.
Yes.
So like
we know
the windows, like the windows for everything are so much smaller. Like we're running 5v4 drills or like, and like a missed rotation. It's a lot easier to miss rotation or send that rotation a little early. So it's kind of your windows for all that are smaller, which is an adjustment. And again, another thing is the defensive scheme is a lot different than it was at CNU because, the main philosophy for a lot of defenses in the PLL is to chew up time because the shot clock's only 52 seconds, right? So they like to zone up and kind of switch matchups. They're not concerned to switch matchups. So if there's like an exchange on the backside, they'll just pass. They'll just switch matchups, kind of zone it up and pass the guy through and have the next defender pick him up. Where at CNU, we're a little bit more man focused. So like I usually tried my best to stay on my guy the whole game. And I think part of that is just in D3, I think probably the gaps between, the best player and the second best player might be bigger in D3 than it is at other levels.
Sure.
Just the nature of playing in D3. So usually I'd want to stay on that guy as much as possible.
Wow.
And also like in the PLL, if they switch and there's an unfavorable matchup, that takes time to set up that dodge. It takes time, to get the ball to that guy, have him back out, set up his dodge, everyone off ball, set up their dodge. And there's just not that much time to do that. So the defenses are willing to take that risk. So that's kind of the big adjustment I need to make is, instead of, always knowing where my guy is off ball, it's more so noticing the exchanges, pointing the other defender to their new matchup and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've actually haven't heard that yet. That's so interesting that the biggest thing is it's just killing time. So like, why would you try to fight through something where you could just switch and play it and they only have 10 seconds to dodge or, 11 seconds to dodge? That's cool. I'm going to throw in a question real quick just because I'm curious. What has it been like with the 2-point arc?
The 2-point arc is like way closer than I thought it was. Like
Is
when
it
you
really?
when you stand on the field, like, and you're at the 2-point arc, like I feel like most guys can, make that, like that's in most guys' range almost.
That's crazy.
Like I thought I stood on it, like we're on the grass field for our first practice and I stood on it and I'm like, is this like the regulation 2-point arc? Like this feels so close.
Wow.
Like, I don't know, maybe I just had the expectation that like 2-pointers were like a really hard shot to make, but like, I feel like they're not. I feel like they're not that far.
It's doable.
Sounds like we got to move this guy to midfield.
Yeah,
A couple
right?
2-pointers.
I feel like he might be a little biased watching Romar Dennis let him go. It's not that far. I mean, the ball gets there.
That shit was easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what it was, but I was
That's crazy.
I was expecting like 2-pointers. I mean, I think the goal, like every single goalie in the league is like insane. So like, obviously you think about that, but just like standing on the arc and looking at the goal, it's like the goal doesn't feel that far away. Because it's at 15 yards, 15, I think, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's at 15.
Yeah.
It's at 15. Yeah, and Jake was telling us it was a little harder on defense because there's guys like Romar who they're coming out of their split at 17 and they're ready to fire. And so you have to either, rotate to that. And the last thing is the shortened field. What has that been like playing with the 10 yards taken out in the middle of the field?
I mean, I feel like I have it. Well, the biggest thing for me is like you need to slide a little sooner in transition from a transition defense standpoint. Like I think it just speeds up transition defense.
Sure.
Like I haven't really crossed the field or anything, so I don't really know what it's like to carry.
Yeah.
Carry across and like kind of run transition offense. But I mean, all those adjustments, I don't think they're like that difficult to make because at the end of the day, you know where the goal is, and you're kind of judging guys by how far away they are from the goal and not the midline.
That makes sense. That's a good answer. Okay.
Good point.
That's a really
So
good point.
it might be a tough question, but what's something you have that you are bringing to the table that the Atlas might not have right now?
Yeah, so I mean, my kind of position on the team right now is, if a guy like Rex or a guy like Tucker go down, like they get injured, God forbid, like obviously we don't want that to happen, but like I'd probably step, and depending on the team's matchup, on the other team's like attack and how we like their matchups, like I would step up and be more of a cover guy. So that's kind of that was my strength in training camp, was being a cover guy. And my weakness is more like some of the off-ball decisions, like not necessarily getting lost off-ball, but just making some decisions that the rest of the defense isn't used to. So like that's the big adjustment that I need to make. That I think, like if I do get my opportunity to be ready and to be, a productive piece of that defense.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to you talking about how small the window is for those offside or those backside like decisions. Like, because if you make that decision and it's wrong, it's not like a missed opportunity; it's a goal. Like the guys are gonna tee, and those guys can get it across the street. So
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, Max, we're very curious what the preparation is like leading up to a game or the weekend games, and how do scouting reports differ from college in the PLL?
Yeah, so I mean, they actually, like, I wouldn't say they differ that much. Maybe it's just that we do scouting similar to the way our coaches do scouting, because Coach Thompson played with Coach Rubior and Coach Clausen. So, and I do think there's some kind of parallels in the way that they coach, but we actually have film tonight. So that's what I'm going to be doing after this. But like when we scouted the Redwoods, we pretty much just used film from last year.
Yeah.
And, they just have like clips set up and kind of what their offense likes to do. There's definitely like knowing the personnel, like knowing their tendencies. Like, Sergio Perkovic likes to roll back and shoot right out of that rollback, and he's really good at that. Like we know Miles Jones, he's a big body dodger. He's a great passer and he has range. So you got to get out to him, but you need to be aware of your matchup is when he has the ball, and stuff that like, Matt Kavanaugh is a big lefty. Like he likes going to his left hand, knowing that some guys are more two-handed and, will go both ways, kind of like Jules Henningsberg. So that's kind of what the preparation is and like the scout. It's really not all that different from college. Like I expect most college teams probably scout similarly.
Yeah.
And it's more so just making sure that like the other team's tendencies, so you can kind of anticipate what they're going to do on defense a little bit quicker.
Yeah. So wait, does that mean Rubior went to UVA?
Yeah.
They all played at UVA together.
I didn't know that.
Or no? Well,
Brooks went to Syracuse,
he
right?
went to Syracuse, yeah. So I guess they played. I guess it was after the fact. But Rubior and Ken definitely played together. Wow.
Yeah.
And Thompson. I didn't realize your coach was the Thompson from UVA.
Yeah.
I don't know if I put that together. For anybody who doesn't know, he's like a god there. He's very, very highly respected. That's crazy. Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
So that's all the official questions we have. So we did want to do a little bit of a lightning round. So we're just going to ask you lacrosse and non-lacrosse related questions, just kind of a rapid fire. So, you can answer super quick. You could take your time with them. But so I'm going to start it off. If you could go pro in any sport besides lacrosse, what would you pick and why?
I've actually thought about this. I think it would definitely be the NBA.
Nice.
One, I
6'4",
think.
it makes sense.
True.
I mean, 6'4" is short in the NBA. I need to be a lot
That's
taller.
true.
But just the concept of it. Just because NBA players, they make a lot of money. And there's like a lot of love around the NBA. Like it's definitely a sick league to be playing in. There's like a great fan base there. And I also feel like NBA players are kind of, they're kind of allowed to, have their own personality. It's got to be themselves. There's a lot more like nicknames on the NBA than there are on the NFL. Like, everybody calls Steph Curry Steph and like LeBron and all that. So I think that's kind of a cool thing that like with being an NBA celebrity is like a little bit different than being like an NFL player.
That's cool. Did you have a nickname at CNU? What the guys called you?
I mean, not like consistently. I mean, there's like, some guys called me like Master Wayne, like Batman, because like my last name's Wayne.
That's
cool.
That's cool. That's cool. I fuck with that. That's cool. Okay.
Some guys called me like robot because like I don't know. I guess I kind of move like a robot. I don't know. That one's more like a chirp than like a
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say
a
that's
cool nickname.
That's a
though.
negative
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Love it.
All right, Sammy, go ahead.
All right, mine is, what was your favorite video game growing up?
My favorite video game growing up. I'm actually really into PC gaming. So like, what I play the most,
Love it.
what I probably played the most like throughout my life is League of Legends, which is like the nerdiest game ever, and I'm kind of
Wow.
embarrassed to
Yeah,
admit
we'll,
that,
we'll leave
but-
you and Sam here for another hour.
I was gonna
to
say
talk about
Sam's
it.
a big PC guy. I was a Red Alert guy, so I get that.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's awesome.
You know, Skyrim was also a super sick game that I like loved to play
Oh,
back in
big
the day.
Skyrim.
That was another great one.
Those are really good.
But yeah,
answers.
those are probably the two games I've dumped.
Almost
the
dropped
most-
out of college
most
because of
hours in.
Skyrim.
I was gonna say I lost a whole semester of school because of Skyrim.
GPAs fell when that game came out.
Oh, 100%. Also didn't know you could time travel. Anyway, if you didn't go to CNU, where else like would you want to play in college? It sounded like CNU was the only choice, but like where else would you wanted to go if not CNU?
Yeah, so kind of my two other main looks were Lenoir-Rhyne and Haverford. So kind of the way I saw it was Lenoir-Rhyne. I would have been on like a really big scholarship there. I qualified for like the highest academic scholarship, and I probably would have got some athletic money as well. They're D2. They're a great D2 team. So that was kind of they were kind of more of like a lacrosse focused option, like lacrosse, and I'd be able to go there for super cheap, but I don't think it was like the best academic school. And then on the flip side of that, I was looking at Haverford, which they're kind of the opposite. Like it's a great school.
Great academic school.
Their lacrosse team isn't that great, but it's also super expensive. But those are kind of like the top three schools like during my my recruiting process. Some other schools I was going to look at, like I was going to look at Lynchburg. I was trying to get a visit there. And I think there were a couple more, but I don't really remember. I think Lynchburg was like one of the ones I would have liked to go to.
Sure.
I would have liked to, like pursue and talk to that coach more. That would have been like a more serious option.
Did you visit LR?
No, I didn't get to visit. I committed to CNU before. I had a visit planned, but I committed to CNU before that.
So that was my other school. Hickory, North Carolina is a very interesting place. But I want to know, did you like the LR coach? Because he was almost the reason I went. I loved him.
Yeah, when I was talking to him, he was great. He was definitely
Yeah.
one of the better coaches that I talked to, or like one of the coaches that I liked more.
For sure.
I-
Matt and Sam, he was from the UNC coaching staff.
Coach at LR.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was.
wow.
He was on my visit. I had a really good time there. The coach was really, really, really cool guy. So I was curious if you thought the same.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as like kind of a bonus answer, if I could have played lacrosse anywhere,
Yeah,
I think I probably would have picked like UVA, because I think UVA is like a great school. It's like not too far from home, not too close, like in-state tuition, and Charlottesville just seems like a great, like really fun place. Like that would have been a place that I feel like I would have loved to play lacrosse at.
for sure. Real quick, me and Sam were wondering this today. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Rockridge.
Gotcha.
We were
Yeah,
terrible.
One of the newer ones, for sure.
That school wasn't even a thing when we were at
It
Stone
It
Ridge.
wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean,
Go ahead, Max. Go ahead.
it opened my sophomore year. I was actually zoned to Briar. I live like a half mile away from Briar. Like I when I went to Briar my freshman year,
What?
like I would walk to school, and somehow got zoned to
The zoning.
Rockridge, even though it's like 2-3 miles away.
Of course.
And I actually had the option to stay at Briar because my sister was a senior that year when I was going to be a sophomore, so I could have stayed.
Yeah.
Would have been a state champ there, but I
You
also
would've-
feel like if I did stay at Briar, I wouldn't have liked lacrosse as much. And I also I picked up wrestling at Rockridge, and the coaches, the wrestling coaches were all like phenomenal coaches. Like they really kind of introduced me to like mindset training, goal setting, kind of all that stuff. Wrestling like physically like makes you like a way better athlete. So I think I think picking up wrestling and like having those coaches influence was definitely like a big contributor to my success, and it still is. Like I use a lot of those goal setting mindset stuff that they kind of introduced me to. So sometimes everything just kind of works out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I think wrestlers make the best ground ball guys. Truthfully, I think the best face-up guys. I went. I actually found out about Rockridge when you were at that tryout, and I saw your helmet. and I've never seen that helmet before. Like that's when I like find out Rockridge was a school when we were at that tryout. That's crazy. Go ahead, Matt.
So I feel like you might have already answered it, but where are we most likely to find you when you're not on the lacrosse field?
So like my hobbies off the field.
Yeah.
Well, probably like my biggest hobby is like PC gaming, like I said earlier.
That's what I was gonna say.
Um,
You're
Wow,
gaming.
that's awesome. This
Love
is
it.
awesome.
Don't be ashamed.
Yeah, like I'm a pretty big computer nerd. Like I majored in like I just finished up my master's. Well, technically I'm about to finish it up. Like I'm finishing up on Monday, my master's
Hey, that's
for
awesome.
computer science.
Computer
I've like
science. Go ahead, man.
I've always like really been into computers and all that, so definitely kind of a nerd there. I got a lot better at lacrosse when I decided to stop playing video games so much and start working out more. I kind of made that trade off.
That's a big decision though. Wow. And you're
Yeah,
like,
so I
next
mean,
life,
yeah, that's what I
maybe
would
you're a
say.
gamer. That's awesome, man.
love it. Man.
All right. Yeah, Sam's a huge PC gamer, so we can have an entire other podcast. You guys can just hash that out. My question is, what is your? I know you haven't seen some of the newer ones, but what's your favorite Marvel movie?
My favorite Marvel movie, I would say, is Infinity War.
Right,
And I like
sure.
Infinity War better than Endgame because, like, when I was like at the movie for Infinity War, I was like genuinely like upset and kind of pissed off when the movie just ended. Like, I thought that like all that happened, and I'm like, oh my god, we still have like another hour. Like, this movie is so sick because like you get like everyone dies and you get the black screen. You're like, all right, like superhero movies never end like this.
Spoiler
And then,
alert
like-
for any of our fans. Just
They had their chance.
That's
But,
true.
like-
That's true. Yeah,
Like that, like
that's
got
awesome.
like a literal reaction. Like I was actually like angry. Like, and
Yeah.
you know, you gotta appreciate when a movie can actually like get a reaction out of you like that.
That's true.
For sure.
That's
That's a good
true.
point.
That's a good. Now, as far as pretty hot take, that's better than Endgame. We're probably gonna have some people.
I don't know. I'm on that. I'm on that boat as well. Infinity War's
defend it.
better.
I'll die on that
Wow.
hill.
Yeah, Infinity War's
Wow.
I'll
better.
die on that hill.
All right. cool.
Endgame's better in my opinion.
Well, Iron Man will take you off that hill. But go ahead. Go ahead, Sam.
Toughest person you guarded while at CNU.
I'm so curious about this.
Yeah, so I would probably say the Salisbury kid, Cross Ferrara. I mean,
Sick,
one,
man.
he was really good,
That's
but
sick,
he was also like he was in an offense. Well, I have two guys, so him and this SVU kid, Zach Daneman, which that might be kind of a hotter take because SVU was never like that great, but this kid,
Yeah.
like both of them were the kind of guys that like when they dodge, like they were dodging to shoot. Like they're either gonna shoot, they're gonna try to get an assist. Like when they dodged, they were trying to get a goal out of it. Like they weren't gonna pull out of their dodge. So like if you do a good job defending them, you're like guarding the longest dodge ever because they're just gonna keep going and keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. What's the Salisbury kid's name? I'm actually gonna look him up.
Cross Ferrara, he's number 22. He just finished up his 5th year. He was player of the year last year.
How do you do against you, if you don't mind saying?
I mean, so my 4th year, we played them 4 times, and I think like one of the games he kind of went off. He had a lot of points, but I got the better of him in the conference championship
Yeah.
that year. I don't really remember the other 2 games. He probably still had like 3 points.
Yeah. And the other kid is from SVU. What's his name?
Zach Daneman.
Okay. We'll look him up too.
But my 5th year, I mean, I think I'd like this past season. I think I did pretty well against him. I mean, he's a
Sure.
great player. Like he's got like he had 1 goal in like our first game against him, and then he got the 1 goal in transition, and then the second game he got 1 on me. He had like this pretty sick goal on me. I'm not gonna lie. Like he went up the left wing, I turned him. I thought he had low angle, and he just like squeezed 1 5-hole. And like he's just like a great player. Like he's gonna get some of those on you.
Wow.
And he's also like a lethal shooter. So he's
Are
a great
either of
player.
these guys like really big, or are they just like normal size attackmen?
I mean, they weren't like particularly big. I mean, they're definitely strong physical dodgers. Like, so the SVU kid, like his dodge, he would just like run into you. Like I remember one time he started his dodge top right facing away from the goal, and he literally took me like in a full circle around the goal and like kind of got a shot off running up the right side of the goal. So he like went full circle
He did
all the
the
way
entire
around.
circle.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and
Christ.
he would like he would body you, and like he might like fall over, like you send the slide, and he would just like stand up with 3 guys on him, like not lose the ball, and like score. He was like one of those guys where, like, the ball just would never come out of his stick, no matter how
Yeah.
many you sent to him.
Yeah. Wow. I'm super curious to watch these guys highlight tape.
Yeah, for real.
I had another question, but before that, I want to know: Did you take a job after your 4th year at CNU already? Like before the PLL thing started? Like, are you doing something with like your computer major?
So, no. So, while I had going into my 4th year, we already lost the year to COVID. So I knew I had a 5th year of eligibility, and CNU had a 5-year master's program, which I was kind of on the fence about. I didn't know if I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So I applied and got in my junior year. I didn't decide if I was going to do it. But then our season got canceled. We got extra eligibility. So it was like a really easy decision. You know, I already had a way to stay a 5th year that was like productive, you know, academically and financially. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. And honestly, CNU is kind of it's kind of like the perfect place to 5th year. Like, they have so many 5th year options. Even if you're transferring in, like, they have this 1-year master's of financial analysis program where like if you're a business major, like, you can transfer and get a master in 1 year.
That's crazy.
Damn.
Would you say there's a possibility that COVID, as far as the extra year of eligibility, was a blessing in disguise for a lot of players and possibly coaches?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, definitely. You know, like, obviously COVID was like really bad, and like it's really unfortunate that, you know, so many people
100%.
lost their lives to it. But in terms of like some silver lining for me personally, like, I got another year of lacrosse. You know, I got my master's. The job I got is like way better than the job offer that I had before.
Wow.
And you know, I made it in the PLL. So for me,
Yeah,
I mean, I
really
think I was able to
good.
really make the most out of that extra year that we got.
Damn, that's awesome. That's cool.
Hey, man.
Okay. TV show you are binging right now.
I just started Stranger Things actually, like 3 days ago.
Wow.
Season 4?
Nice.
No, like, I just finished season 1. I'm on like a couple episodes into season 2.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So yeah, like, I
Wow.
just started.
Buckle up.
Wow. I was gonna say it gets
That's
dark.
great.
It's good. It's good. Wow.
So, all right. If I handed you the aux cord at a party, what song are you putting on?
What, this is like a night party?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I gotta think about this. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
auxing at a party is never fun
That's true.
because like,
It's
Some
a
people are
high
gonna be mad
pressure
at you.
situation.
Yeah, somebody's
because
gonna be
like
pissed.
if you play great music, like, it's just kind of expected. But like,
Right.
if you play like a bad song, like, everybody hates you.
That's true. That's
All
true.
right, well,
That's-
I'll edit it. Do you have, at CNU or in the PLL, do you have a song that you listen to pregame?
yeah.
Yeah,
Number
so
one,
like, my
you
big
always listen
pregame
to.
song is like Buttercup by Hippocampus, which you guys might not have heard of them. Like, they're kind of a
I've
smaller
never
band.
heard of
I
that.
actually have heard of them from Spencer, actually. So
Of course.
that's yeah.
Wow,
That's,
Hippocampus. I'll have to check that
No,
out.
let's put that. Yeah, let's put that on the list too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely should. I just went. I mean, they're my favorite band. I just went to their concert in DC in March, just
Oh,
super
that's cool.
sick. So
Where'd they play? I live in DC.
the 930 Club.
That's awesome. I love 930.
That is good.
930 is awesome. Wow. All right,
All right.
Sam, you got one more?
Yeah, I do.
wrap us up.
So which, I know you guys just played Albany, but which other venue are you looking forward to playing this year?
PLO.
Well, I mean, Baltimore is going to be super sick. DC is going to be sick if we make it there in the playoffs. Because
You will.
I mean, I think we will.
Sam's an Atlas fan, by the way. So.
Pandering.
I'm gonna knock on wood, man. I think
Horns
I think
up.
the Atlas are a wagon, but
Wow, love that.
Wait,
Love
hold on.
that.
Are you wearing an Atlas shirt right now?
yeah.
Yep.
Can we see that? Damn, that's actually
Oh,
fresh
yeah,
as shit.
It's a fire.
Oh,
that was
damn,
also
nice.
one of the best parts about getting drafted by the Atlas is their merch is sick. Like, their colors
It's
are
so
sweet.
sick.
It
You know.
is
So
some good
sick.
colors.
We told Coach Brooks you guys should get family
Family
strong.
style.
Is that it? Family style. You guys should get that on every shirt. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
I feel like I saw one though, but maybe.
We
but,
lost
I
out
mean, I
on
guess
our
you guys would
trademark
probably
opportunity.
know.
Definitely did. Sam also bought a hat. If you wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, if you didn't
If
notice.
you want to tell you, he bought a hat.
Yeah, the rope hat is sweet, but
The rope hat is sweet.
I would say, I mean, those are going to be great. Those places are going to be great because it's kind of close. Like, I'll be able to drive to them, and it's a good crowd. But I've also like some cities I really wanted to go to. I've always really wanted to go to Denver, and I've always really wanted to go to Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
which are both on the schedule this year. So that would be sick, but I'm probably not going to be on the travel roster for those games. So I would say if I was on the travel roster, probably those games.
Yeah.
But right now, like any game I can drive to is, you know, a game I'm going to drive to and get that practice in and get that experience in.
Wow. Well, we will be
Good
there
answer.
this weekend in Charlotte, and we will definitely be at the DC games for sure.
Oh yeah.
Very excited.
Yeah, and I
about
would
it,
say the odds are we'll see you in DC. So
man. we're gonna see you. in DC. I'm a chaos guy, but we're gonna see you in DC
yeah.
for sure. Go ahead,
Um,
man.
no, that's all we got, man. So we do want to thank you again for taking some time to join us. Congratulations again on getting drafted. Legendary move to get drafted from D3, but congratulations again. We do want to say best of luck this year, even though we can't say some of us are Atlas fans, but we'll be rooting for you personally. But
100%.
no, we will be in Charlotte. So if you're there, we'll have to grab you and meet up real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely grab a pick or something. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on, and big congrats, man. I think more D3 players are gonna get drafted because of you. So, congrats, man.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I really appreciate it. And, you know, I'm not the first D3 player to make it. I'm not the only one. And, you know, I'm sure it won't be the last. So
Great.
I think there's a lot of D3 guys that are able to make that jump.
That's true.
Oh yeah, man.
Well,
All
yeah.
right, man. Well, thanks again.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye.